Thank you. And I have to say, I can't tell you how blessed we are that we're not having bells going off right now. One thing that the congressperson hates is that when you're doing an event, especially to honor someone, that the bells go off, meaning we have to run out and go to vote. And a lot of times it's a series of votes, which means if I left here right now, I most likely would not get back for a good 45 minutes and you guys want to go eat. That's what it comes down to. Let me say that it's an honor to be here with all of you, all the honored guests. And for Joe to come all the way out to Washington to be with a colleague, I think is a special treat, and it really, really is. You know, we've heard so many good things about why we're here today, but I think all of you do know him. All of you do know the great work that he's been doing. And I've gotten to know him, I guess, 2 years now? It's a little bit over 2 years. And we actually met and started talking right after September 11th. And it was then that he was talking to me about projects that he was working on, things that he wanted to do for Homeland Security. And of course, you know, this country was torn apart, but especially of us in New York. I mean, none of us will ever forget that particular day on what happened, not only in, you know, we talk about New York, but I was here in Washington and I was watching the Pentagon on fire. And of course then the news came on about the other plane that went down in Pennsylvania. And then of course there was a fourth plane that was kind of heading here. The White House will say it was going for them. Congress will say it was going for us. It doesn't matter, they were after us. Which has made us all start to think totally different. Because the security of this nation is so important to all of us. But I will always say the security of this nation, and we have been blessed, that the freedoms that we have enjoyed here, and there is a fine line on security, national security, but not to give up our freedoms on a lot of different areas. And I think that's very important because the men and women that are in Iraq right now are fighting not only for us, but for the Iraqi people to have a democracy start there. And of course, they don't have to look too far. All they have to do is look at India to see the democracy that is there. And it's a bedrock of what they should be following. But we are here to honor someone, one of your own. And I know that everyone is extremely proud because you are an Indian. I see you as an American. I like to say that, mainly because the people here in this country are all Americans. And I think that is something that we should start doing more and more of. You know, my great-grandparents came to this country, they were Irish. Of course, then you have the Italians, you have the Greeks, I mean, think about the melting pot of this country. And we should all keep our nationalities because certainly I'll be the proudest person in the world to say, I'm Irish. But more than anything else, I'm an American. And that's what we all are. You know, we all look differently on many different areas. We're Americans. And we have to bring that into our culture more and more and hopefully teach other people in this nation that our skin might be different, our looks might be different, but we're Americans. And hopefully that will be something that we'll see someday for all people because unfortunately I see too many times that people do not want immigrants to come into this country, and yet that's what's made this country, in my opinion, the greatest country in the world. But I also want to say thank you to the General for being here. We appreciate your service to this country, but also we appreciate the work that you're still doing. And I thank you for coming to honor us with this. And Frank Malone, I'm sure, will be here because he is a man of his honor. I mean, when he says he's going to be here, he'll be here. And of course, Frank has been head of the Indian Caucus. He's a tireless worker. He had a very large event here for the Indian community from across the country last night. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was on the floor talking about one of the health care bills that we were always working on. But this is a special reception for a lot of reasons, but mostly because of the opportunity to give this honor to our friend, Raul. You know, we've heard so many things about Raul, and they're all true. I mean, he's a good neighbor, and he is a good neighbor, and I think that brings into when the gentleman was talking about his integrity with his business, it goes on how you rate a person as a man. And this is a man that works with his company, is a good neighbor, and is a little, you know, during right at the Iraqi war, we were trying to send some money and packages over to our service people in Iraq. And one of the first people I went to was Raul, and I said, can you help us? And he did. And one of the things that a lot of people don't understand, when the packages got there, unfortunately they had been a fire. And two of the tents that our service people were living in burnt down to the ground. And it was like an angel came because the packages came and everything was given to these 12 soldiers. They lost everything, even their toothbrush. So what you do, sometimes you don't even realize how far it spreads out. And you helped somebody greatly that day, and I appreciate that because he's always responded. And I think that's important. But with that thought in my mind, it's a pleasure to print all a copy of my remarks to the House of Representatives on June 26th. We've been trying to get this together for a while, so I had done actually the real speech a couple of weeks ago. But it brings to everyone's attention the great contributions he has made to Long Island, New York, and the United States of America. Raul has been a shining example of what it means to be a successful businessman, a good neighbor, as I said before, a caring and individual, and certainly a loyal, patriotic American citizen. He is known by so much of his work as president and CEO of ASR International and the services to his country that ASR has performed, particularly in the area of homeland security, as what's been mentioned so many times. He's also known throughout the engineering and defense communities for his insight and forward thinking in those particular areas. So I mean, these are the things that we want to honor you with. But more than that, I value the friendship that we have, and I value the work that you're doing to make this country safer. I also appreciate very much that the bids came in at 70% lower. You better not tell them that. They'll spend the money somewhere else. No, we hope not to, because that is going to be a contention. There are many of us that feel there should be more money in the appropriations pipeline to do what we need to do for homeland security. Many of us will continue to fight for that, because as great as the country this is, if we don't have the security to fight terrorism on every single level, all the other things really mean nothing. You know, we have some neighbors, Israel to be exact, they faced terrorism for a long, long time. And yet, when you look at the Israel people, they get up every day, they go to work, they will not let terrorism get to them. And that's what we as Americans have to learn. The president has said it was going to be a long war. Well, the war went fast, and we were lucky and blessed by that. But the fight against terrorism is going to be very long, because that's how terrorism works. And we have to make sure that the president has the support. And it's people like Raul that will make sure that he's doing his part to making this country safe and secure. And by the way, his friend, his colleague Joe, is doing the same thing in different areas. The congressional record, and I tell when I speak to high school students all the time, I'm always very, very proud when I'm able to do something and put something into the congressional record. Because it's going to be in the records of our government